I'm here today to talk about the yellow dots in Ground War and how to be using them, which you should be doing because they give you a basic form of wallhack, and I've seen zero talk about them. To be clear, this is not a literal hack though, it isn't cheating, it's a feature in the game for everyone. Maybe a questionable one, but we can debate that later. Maybe you've noticed these yellow dots everywhere if you play a lot of Ground War, or maybe not, because they only ever appear in your peripheral vision, never in the middle of your screen, and if you turn to look at them, they disappear. So it's easy for your brain to completely ignore them. They kind of look like a little lens flare or some dust particles, but if you pay attention, they are certainly not that. They are in fact locations of players, both teammates and enemies. As I showed in a couple clips already, like this one, I knew to look for another enemy sniper on that roof because of a yellow dot through the wall exactly on his location.
Target acquired.
This is not part of a kill streak or a perk, it's active for everyone, all the time, you just have to know how to use it. From what I can tell, a yellow dot will show up on someone whenever they fire their gun. Couple notes about that, they only ever show up through walls or any solid object. I've never just seen them out in the open. If you do, then it's because most of the body of the person that you're looking at is behind cover. And also you have to be pretty darn far away. Like if you're walking through an occupied building, you're not going to be seeing yellow dots revealing enemies that are a few rooms over from you. You'd be seeing them as red dots on your minimap instead. You'll only see the yellow dots outside that range. So this is mainly useful for two things. One, identifying which general areas of the map are hot zones with a lot of people battling it out, I presume to help you find the fight, get in the action. And two, it gives you a huge heads up for where there might be people sniping from some obscure building across the map looking to pick you off. That's in addition to the actual scope glint that you'll see when a scoped weapon is aiming at you. But I also mentioned how these dots don't only show up on enemies, they also happen on teammates. Like here, my team was all up on the cliff sniping, clearly some dots popping up on them whenever I go behind a wall, and I did later do testing with teammates. So thankfully, you do have to do a little bit of thinking to decide if a dot is a teammate or an enemy. It isn't just straight up wall hacks on only enemies. To figure out if a yellow dot is a teammate or an enemy, you have a couple ways. One is just context clues. You should have a basic awareness of the state of the map, which buildings are full of your team and which ones aren't. You can also bring up the menu to look at the full map. Also, the green dots for the location of your 3 squad mates are always visible, and which flags you control should all give you a pretty good idea of when a yellow dot is indicating an enemy. But there's actually another pretty crazy way. If you quickly turn to where you saw a yellow dot, remember it'll go away when you do that, but if you remember and aim right where it was with perfect accuracy, if it's a teammate, you will see their blue name show up through the wall, no matter how far away they are and how much concrete is between you and them. So you can also try that trick to check if a yellow dot is a teammate. With that, you can gain even more knowledge about where your team is and where the enemies are on the map. I should mention, it isn't the yellow dot mechanic that allows you to see a teammate name through the wall like that. That actually happens no matter what. If you happen to look directly at a teammate anywhere on the map, their name will pop up as long as you are exactly on target. The yellow dot can just help you pinpoint someone. So at least you have to think a little bit if the dot is representing a teammate or an enemy, but this is still very powerful. Most of the time, it's easy to tell when it's an enemy dot using the context of the game. I'm sure many of you knew about this, but I have a feeling most people have not been using them at all. When I did some research to see if people were talking about this, I found only one downvoted Reddit thread of someone asking what they were, and nobody in the comments actually knew. Someone said it was teammates using the spotter perk, then they later corrected themselves because no, this isn't the spotter perk, that is for tagging vehicles and equipment for your whole team to see, and it looks like this. You get some score for tagging something, and it's a hard yellow outline that tracks the object in real time. Also, these yellow dots can often appear inside buildings when there's no way a teammate could be laying eyes on that person, never mind the fact that they also appear on teammates, so that can't be it. When I was trying to figure out what these meant, I did go through many theories. Because there are no Ground War custom matches, it's harder to test things out. I can't get people on the enemy team to help, but at first I thought that made sense. I thought these dots were people that were being spotted, not even because of the spotter perk, but just because that's how the game works, like an extension of the enemy over there, I see movement. that terrible meme of a feature that they'll be fixing soon, but I started to realize that wasn't the case. I went through a few other things, like is it people who get a kill? Is it someone spawning on a squad mate? Is it people camping and not moving? The dots, Mason, what do they mean? Well, I ruled out all of those. I did a bunch of testing with my friend. The only way we could get a dot was to fire a gun. Simple as that. Suppressors didn't seem to matter either. You still show up, but I didn't try every different type of suppressor. Also, it isn't just when you show up on the radar or the compass. Like the yellow dots definitely do not line up with a UAV sweep. Having a UAV up or not does not have any effect on these. Anyway, I felt this was important to share for all the ground war players out there who perhaps hadn't been paying any attention to these dots. They are a huge help when it comes to navigating the map, knowing how busy a building might be as you're approaching it, and for avoiding snipers and also counter-sniping other snipers. If you're mad at me for sharing this because you didn't want anyone else to know, well, that's a bit of a douchey mindset, but don't worry, a video like this one will never reach the large, casual audience, and you know, there are other overpowered strategies in this game that I chose not to talk about because they're clearly going to be patched and do not need any encouragement. On the other hand, this is a basic gameplay tool for playing the mode properly that people are going to figure out eventually. As far as what I think about this being a feature, I guess I can see both sides, but I mean, it is pretty out there having a long-range, perfect pinpoint hearing, essentially, on a chaotic battlefield. It really is a type of wall hack. That isn't even an exaggeration. It isn't like I see people's live outlines through walls, but these dots are placed exactly where people are across the map. I do feel like I sometimes get the drop on someone that I have no right to know about. I think this feature would make more sense if it only showed people who were spotted by a teammate, then it's like an auto teammate callout type of thing, but at the same time it does only happen far away. When it comes to close quarters combat, it isn't like you can unfairly know someone's exact location just around the corner. This mainly affects long-range sniping, and maybe it improves gameplay to give people a bit of an advance warning about which buildings might have a bunch of campers in them. Like here, I have no idea where those people will be when I get in the building, but I know that it is pretty occupied. There's some fighting going on in there, and then when I get in there, I'll have my normal minimap to look at. While we're here, a mini tip for the minimap. Remember that if you see a line above or below a red dot, that means the enemy is either above or below you, which is a huge deal, especially for ground war with how much verticality there is. Like when you're trying to take or defend one of those high-rise buildings, you need to know when those enemies are above or below you. I'm sure most people know that since it's a common map feature, but you never know, it's easy to forget if it's been a while. Anyway, maybe the yellow dot thing is helping encourage movement in ground war. Maybe they felt they needed something like that in this pretty chaotic mode where you can be in any window on any roof. But is this really the perfect solution for that? I don't know, yellow wall hack dots seem a little weird to me. Maybe this isn't even working as intended. Like, what is the compass even for at this point? The yellow dots definitely do a better job of being your minimap from afar. Is anyone using the compass for anything? Yeah, there's 11 dots showing up in that general direction. Could be a few people 200 meters away in the street, could be a few on the rooftop right in front of me. I guess I'm only thinking from a ground war perspective, but in here it really gives you nothing. Well, you can let me know what you think about the wall hack dots. Does this improve the gameplay balance of ground war to allow for more gunfights and less getting shot from who knows where? Or do you think this is outrageous and should be removed? In that case, maybe you should go make some noise about it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.